Can you please welcome Professor John Fraser?
Thank you very much, and what a tricky one to follow, Kate. Wasn't she fantastic? Thank you again. It's great to meet on the land of the Turrbal and Yugara people, the First Nations people. I would like to say that the Second Nations people were Scottish. Lord Brisbane came from Glasgow. The Strangers Bar outside was built out of a ship built in Dumbarton. The other name for Brisbane, the other white name for Brisbane was, anyone know, Bernard? Eden Glassy. So there you are. You're lucky that the Third or Fourth Nations people, I'm not sure which we are, but the Glaswegians were here and very proud to be here. Very great place. So I wouldn't speak long. I loved it. Michael optimistically said, and we're on to the formal part of the evening. Aye, right. This was going to be the speech tonight. It was going to be talking about the success, but unfortunately, due to the referee, bang goes. I'm not bitter at all. Take him out, he's drunk too much. Sports figured heavily. It was a very, very sad loss last night to the Blues, but it was a very, very great win for Spain against England. Wasn't it? Some things unite us all. So you might think, why is he talking about football? But I came from the east end of Glasgow, where the way out of town is with your left or right foot, not by your head. So I was desperate, really, to be a footballer. And I'm not here as a successful researcher. I'm here as a failed footballer. Because that is really what it was about. My big brother was a much better footballer than me. My big sister was also a much bigger footballer than me. In fact, pretty well everyone was a better footballer than me. When I remind my brother about this, he said, "You did turn up for a game once with a Wellington boot and a sandal." And the really sad thing is, that is actually true. So from a failed footballer into research doesn't actually sound like a particularly linear process, but I think there is actually a lot about it. And my team have been fed up for 18 to 20 years hearing analogies about football or analogies about teams. I think, and I'm not going to talk for long, just this once. I'm not going to talk for long because this is a night about Kate, about Alex and the brilliant people in the room who have either done the work or supported the work. Because my role as a professor is to get people that are smarter than me, give them beer, wine, pizza, give them a room, and then take their slides afterwards. That's how David McGiffin taught me how to do it. So I guess a couple of things. Why is football like sport? There is no decent research in the world done without a team. And your job as the captain of the team is to find people that are so much better than you. And if I've got one skill, it's by bringing in people that are all better than me at something, frequently more than one thing as well. So that's a key thing. Roy Kimball, who's up the back there, Roy is another Glaswegian. He's from the posh part of town where it's fur coat and nae knickers, as they say. Roy was a Rangers fan, and along with Lila Cuttle and Margaret Kemp, we started the Burns Research Group. And he took on, here he is, a professor of paediatric surgery, and he took on an adult intensive care physician to start the Burns Research Group. And it's about getting people that will give people a challenge. They say that the world loves living conformists and dead troublemakers. Roy was happy to take on a living troublemaker, and I acknowledge him in the research group for that. Every team needs a shared goal. Once you have a shared goal, it stops being work. It becomes passion. And what you've seen tonight and the people you'll meet at the tables tonight show that that passion is involved in every 2 a.m. phone call, in every grant that we don't get up. Michael Hornby, Steve Francie, I've got your numbers. It's all about the living embodiment, and it really stops being work because it's a process of passion. Like the Glorious Maroons last night, sometimes you lose, and what it should do is just make the resolve stronger and stronger and stronger. And I've said to my children, particularly Ben, my eldest, Ben wanted to do neurosurgery for a while. And he's sitting beside Professor Terry Coyne. Terry is the loser of the Coyne family because his brother Mark scored the best try for state of origin history, and Terry's a bit of a disappointment for the family as one of Australia's greatest neurosurgeons. He wrote that himself. So Ben is sitting beside Terry, having said, all he does is burr holes. So if they need a junior doctor, Ben won't be having another junior doctor. But I think, like Ben's football career, you learn more from losses than you actually do from wins, and that has to be a big part of research. I think key in research is we have to remember who we're playing for. And we talk about winning goals, winning medals, winning competitions, but in medical research, our goal is so much higher, so much more important. We are trying to make a better future for your mum, your dad, your brother, your sister, your loved ones, and we need to do all that. John McCarthy always told me that to be a healthcare worker, to be a doctor was a privilege, and I think it is. Perhaps not at 3 in the morning when you've been up for 36 hours, but it is a privilege because patients will tell us things that they'll never tell their priest. They might not tell their partner. With respect to Minister Fensman, they probably wouldn't tell their minister either. But they'll tell doctors because they have trust in us, and we have to see that as a privilege. And if doing medicine is a privilege, doing research is an absolute honour, because when you're a doctor or a nurse or an allied health, the patient will hopefully get something better back from you. You will make their life better, you will make their pain less, you will make it easier. But when patients allow you to do research with them, they cannot benefit from it. All that they know is that the next person that comes after them will benefit. It's entirely selfless. And we've got 2 transplant recipients here. The world is in an absolute schmozzle just now. But for anyone that's ever been involved in transplant, and it's wonderful to have David McGiffin, who did Queensland's first heart transplant ever in the 1980s. David. So just an amazing man. But when you see how bad the news is and how terrible that referee was yesterday, just think these wonderful young women, and Alex is heading off to her PhD in the Netherlands tomorrow. These wonderful people are alive because someone gave a donor heart or a donor lung. That family were going through the worst time in their life. They will never get anything back from it. They'll never even meet the patients, but they gave the gift of life. So when you're watching the news and when you're watching the craziness, the world still is a really, really good place. So I think it's all about team. Normally, Glasgow Celtic, as we've been saying to Michael Grace down there, normally Glasgow Celtic, the best team in the country. But if you think about what we've achieved, and it's not me, my job is cat herding and stealing their slides, but if you think about what we've achieved for 20 years, myself and Jackie Suen and Gianluigi Labassi, 2 of my great commandants, we worked out in the last 20 years, we've probably had about 220 fellows. And most of them have heard about Brisbane. They didn't want to go to Sydney. They didn't want to go to Melbourne. They didn't want to go to London. They wanted to come here. We're bringing the best and the brightest, again, Scottish, for nothing, to Brisbane, and they are creating their own tree of knowledge. They come here for 2 or 3 years, and then they go back somewhere else, and they grow that tree. So imagine the growth of that knowledge and what you in this room have started, not just in Brisbane, not just in Australia, but across the world to build a better future. And I think, as Kev Carmody, the great singer from Tara, said, from little things, good things grow, and we should be so, so proud of it. We saw during COVID that medicine is a global disease and it should be treated globally, and I'd like to acknowledge the Ambassador of Kenya, Dr. Kyogo, who's at the back there as well. Welcome, Dr. Kyogo, to join us. Pandemics don't respect time zones, they don't respect war zones, they don't even respect border control. They will travel, so there is no point in doing rich white medicine. We have to treat this as a global disease and work together, and that's why it's great that the contingent from Kenya are here. But the people that have come to us are the people, not just the patients, but the doctors, the nurses, the allied health, the engineers that come to us, leave their families or bring their families with them, went in quarantine for 2 weeks. I think Kay Boon's here, he spent 2 weeks in quarantine with his wife, his 4-year-old and his 2-year-old boy in one room. They changed their life to come and change yours, and I'm entirely inspired by it. And one of the fellows that's here tonight, Angelo, actually leaves on the 1 a.m. flight today. And he came and spoke to me yesterday and said, thank you, the group's been amazing, not particularly you, Fraser, but the group has been amazing. And he said, and he comes from one of the biggest units in Italy, one of the world's most respected units, coming here to Brisbane has just opened my eyes to what I can achieve with research and medicine. So as I close, I think it's really important for us all to be mentors. All those 220 people will go and be mentors themselves. And our job is to foster and support that curiosity, because it is so important how we foster it and how we allow curiosity to grow in our young people. So I started this chat talking about how rubbish I was at football, and my children will agree to all of it. And if I was rubbish at football, I was even worse in a classroom. This will surprise you again. I didn't stop talking. And despite the tenacious curiosity of a teenager, we had some amazing teachers. And I had one amazing teacher. And she would put up with questions, she'd hear the nonsense, and she wouldn't tell me to shut up. One story actually was, though, I was trying to show off, again, another surprise, and I was trying to show off, and she turned to me and she said, "Fraser, you are such a narcissist." I didn't know what a narcissist was, but being me, I assumed it was a compliment. And I had hair at the time. Thanks very much, miss. So with respect, Minister Fentiman and Minister Grace and Christian, who's been very helpful putting this together, I would like to ask you to toast a real guest of honour. My biology teacher from when I was 15 came all the way from Glasgow. She's here tonight. She's over 21. She travelled the whole way to see that he's still bloody talking. But in respect to Mrs. Geoghegan, 12 of her class went on to do medicine. She never told me to shut up. She probably wishes she had. But I'm going to ask Sheila to stand up, and Minister Fentiman may give you a bunch of flowers as a thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, be upstanding for Sheila Geoghegan. Sheila, do you want to have a word? Oh, God. She's Glaswegian, she will want to have a word. Mrs. Geoghegan, would you like to say a word? Come on up. Sheila Geoghegan.